Do you own a vehicle? Do you need those wheels to keep on turning? Are you tired of paying your mechanic thousands of dollars to fix the vehicle that you need? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of T-Bone Mechanical. I'm T-Bone, your mechanic today. And this just in, breaking news. Did you know that you can fix it yourself? I'll send it back over to you, T-Bone, the mechanic. Do you have this problem? So what happened here was, if you'd watched my video on replacing the totally integrated power module in your Chrysler vehicle, I'd mentioned that the wiper control inside of the TIPM had been fried. So what they couldn't do when they replaced the wiper motor for me was test to see where the wipers started and stopped, and the result was, of course, that they're 180 degrees out of phase. And today I'll show you how to fix that, because I'm T-Bone the mechanic. So the first thing you'll want to do is you have your wipers. You can see how they're in the up position. When they're stopped, you're going to want to remove these plastic covers to expose the nuts, because we need to take these wipers off first. So you just grab your flathead screwdriver and pop off these covers. You then grab the appropriate socket and take the wiper blades off. What we're going to do is we're just going to remove these bolts, this one and that one. So to get these wiper arms off, what you want to do is put your wipers in the upright position, and you're going to want to put tension on the wiper arm here while you tap. Put the nut back on or leave it on just above the top of the post. You don't want to be hitting the post itself, but just the nut. So what you're going to do is you'll put tension on it while you tap and or hit maybe a little harder with your hammer while you have tension on that, and then you'll notice the wiper loosens up and you can take it right off. Do that with the other one. So as you can see, I've removed the wipers and set them aside. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this plastic cowling off here so we can get at the linkage underneath, and we'll get these wipers back into phase so that they start at the bottom and finish at the bottom. So what we're going to do next is we'll remove these plastic plugs. Now they have it's a two-piece. So what you do is you'll use your flathead screwdriver to pull out the top. Now what that does is opens up the bottom, which holds it into place. So you remove the top part of that, move the top part, and then the bottom of the plug should pop right out. Now keep them together so you don't lose them. Do that with the other side, and we'll get this plastic cover off and see what the linkage looks like. All right, so those two plastic clips taken out. Now we can get this out of the way to expose the linkage and the wiper motor. As you can see, I had the wiper motor replaced. Now what they couldn't do because of my TIPM wiper functions being fried, they couldn't test it to see whether it was in its home position or not. Okay, so once we've got that out of the way, it looks like the next step is going to be we're going to have to remove this so we can pull out the entire motor and linkage. So what we'll do is we'll disconnect the power connector here, remove this nut, and the linkage should come right out. That way we can readjust the linkage so it's in the 180 degree phase difference than what it is, so that the wipers will start at the bottom and finish at the bottom. Okay, so this appears to be a 10 mil, so I'll go ahead and take that off. Okay, so I've got that bolt out. Now that lifts up easily. This part should just slide right out of there and then right over that end, so that we can flip this over and get at the bottom so that we can disconnect the bolt that holds the linkage itself to the wiper gears. Alright, so we'll give that a try. Let's just lift right up. That'll come out of there. And then our whole linkage and wiper motor assembly. You can now access this nut under here so that we can put it 180 degrees out of this phase so that your wiper start at the bottom and finish at the bottom. So I've disconnected the power cable and just turn this so that I can get at. Now this here appears to be a 13 mil nut. I'm going to take that off. Yep, so now that I have that off, what we'll do is we'll take the linkage off. Okay, now that I have that nut off there, we see the motor. Now what I've done is I've connected the electrical back up, and what I want to do is I want to run 2 cycles of the motor so that it gets back to its home position before I put the linkage on. And what we'll do is we'll make sure that the linkage is in the right phase so the wipers start at the bottom and finish at the bottom. So we'll run 2 cycles of the wiper motor. You can see now the problem was that it was starting at the top and finishing at the top, so that meant it was 180 degrees out of phase. So what we'll do, turn this arm this way, adjust the whole linkage over this way, and then put it back together. So you'll put your nut back on, tighten it up, and test it out. So what we'll do is we get this nut back on here, tighten it back up, and make sure that this is lined up as straight as possible. And then we'll pop it back in and good to go. Okay, well, that being accomplished, I've tightened this up. It's in the correct phase. The wipers start at the bottom, finish at the bottom. I'm going to put it back into the vehicle the opposite way that I took it out. Plug it in and we'll give it a try. And so once again, as these jobs are quite easy, I'd like to just say thank you for watching my video again. I am T-Bone the Mechanic. And this is where you learn how to do stuff that saves you money. Let's get back to the wipers. So, I've reinstalled the assembly. Now, reconnect the power. Now let's take a look to make sure that it cycles properly and everything works before we put everything back together. So if you take note of which direction this arm is going to go, it's going to be that. It'll be that way, which means this will be going that way. This will be spinning this way. Therefore, your wiper, when you put them back on straight, when you put them back on in the bottom position, it will go from here to here. Just want to pop your plastic back in place here. Make sure everything's tucked in to where it should be. There we are. The same over here. Make sure that's tucked into place. Lined up with these holes here. So we'll put our plastic clips back in place. Then we'll put the wipers back on. Alright, got the plastic clips back in, and at this point, you can put your wipers back on. Set them into place. You can put them back into their regular position here. Now you're going to use a hammer to tap those down. And what you'll want to do is adjust them so that they sit just at the bottom of the windshield, and so that they're not touching. Then you put your bolts back on here, tighten them up, and we're good to go. All right, the wipers are back in place where they should be, in their bottom starting position. These are all tightened up. We'll just pop our plastic caps back on. And let's give these wipers a try, shall we? Alright, so let's give this a shot. Alright, turn the vehicle on. Let's cycle this and see if we have some success. Now look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you fix your wipers being 180 degrees out of phase. And thank you for joining me again. I am T-Bone the Mechanic.